in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, welcome to PJ Net Live. It's Wednesday night, and many of you are anticipating Michelle Medlock Adams, who is our weekly guest every week on Wednesday. She is here, except this week. But we have something just as good, maybe better. It's kind of unusual because she was making arrangements to have Bethany Jett, who is in our green room standing by, fill in for her. Little did she know, and there's Bethany right there. Little did she know, Bethany and I were on the phone doing some other business at the time that request came through, I believe. And you know what, Beth? I still have not heard from Michelle saying she's not going to be here tonight.
Oh, she probably knew I was taking care of it. So
she trusts you, I presume. And
yes.
Now, this is not your first appearance here on PJ Net Live. You and Michelle tried to be here live one rainy Chicago night, and things didn't work out so well. Hopefully, everything will run smoothly tonight. But every time I see Michelle and Dell and all those, your face keeps popping up. So you're hanging around these people. And I'm amazed at how that what I call an interlocking directorate. You all are peers, authors, writers, usually faith-based, but yet you kind of form these little partnerships and things. Like you and Michelle are doing Platinum Faith, I believe.
Yeah, that's one of our books that releases in October.
But that's an actual partnership, right? Like a company or something.
Platinum Literary Services is the company. So yeah, Platinum is in both titles. Yeah,
okay.
That's our business together.
That's the common denominator. And and then I find out that there's a thing called Serious Writers, which I hold in high esteem. Serious Writers Inc. Now, who is that, and what is the purpose of Serious Writers Inc.?
All right, so 5 years ago, I started Serious Writer Academy, which was a way to bring writing instruction online, like classes. So people who couldn't get to a writer's conference, they could still very inexpensively learn from people who taught workshops at those conferences. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, Kyle Young, who is a literary agent, started Almost an Author, which was a website for writers to be able to grow platform and, just gain exposure about writing. And 2 years ago, we merged our companies under Serious Writer Inc. We incorporated. And so now we run still the academy, still the website, and we also do events and conferences and things like that. And the Almost an Author has been a 2-time Writer's Digest award-winning blog, which has been very, very great.
And now, as I kind of follow the lineage of you all, the branches always lead to one stump, and that would be the Florida Christian Writers Conference. It was held somewhat 5 years ago. Tell us about that. And why was that such a magical catalyst for all of you?
Yeah, all of us got started. And I should say, Michelle is my best friend, and I met her at the Florida Christian Writers Conference my second year. And we all got started at different writers' conferences. It was the 2012 Florida Christian Writers Conference where I got my start. And, I was a youth minister's wife, and I had an idea for a book on dating for high school and college age girls, because that's who I worked with in our ministry. And it was just a Cinderella moment. I was able to pitch the idea. I got an agent and got an editor interested, and the book sold 3 months later. And the next year I went back to that same conference and met Michelle, and we've been best friends ever since, and now business partners and co-authors, and met Kyle Young at a different writers conference a year later. So we really believe in writers conferences.
Well, I was going to ask you, what is it about a writers conference that not only there's a magnetism that seems to draw writers that are emerging that become successful, but it's a sacrifice. It's travel, it's expense. I mean, it's for some people struggling. I mean, it's hard to justify the money, but you did it. Why?
Well, my mom and my husband kept telling me it was something I should do, and I think a lot of people who are of talent in writing, they have people in their lives telling them this, so they're hearing it, and now it's a question of, is somebody in the industry going to agree with this, and do I have an idea? And I think agents and editors from publishing houses still go to writers conferences because they know the people there, they've invested in their career, and so it kind of separates them from people who are just putting submissions through online, like we call it the slush pile, just the amount of proposals that go into their email and then they get lost or they get buried. That's called the slush pile. So when you meet someone face to face, you get to have the enthusiasm behind your project. They get to know you, and you build on these relationships, and it's a relationship game, honestly.
You have actually went to Florida State University, so you probably are going to understand what I'm about to say. Tallahassee is the state capital, and we are home to Florida State University, Florida A&M University, Tallahassee Community College, Leon County. In other words, it is a government town. And, there are so many job openings, and you can apply and apply and apply. But it's just often said it's not how much you know, it's who you know.
Yes, I would agree with that. And here's the thing. A lot of times people will come to a conference because they want to meet certain faculty members and meet the agents and the editors. And that's fantastic. That's one reason why conference directors put them on, is so to give you the opportunity to network with them. But I also tell people in opening orientation that it's the people sitting next to you who you're going to grow up with in this industry, and you don't know who someone is going to be in 5 years, or the editor that you meet that's at a small house now that you connect with, they might end up being at one of the top 5, and because of your relationship, they might say, yeah, just send me your proposal and let me look at it. I mean, that happens all the time. So you have to always make sure that you're never mean to people because you don't think they're going to get you somewhere. It's just really loving people and being willing to network with people of all stages, because you just have no idea.
Well, relationships, well, as they say, friends come and go, but enemies are forever. One of the things that I've learned, even if you have, you're trying to get out of a relationship, business relationship or anything like that, but in life, it's best just don't burn your bridges. Exit on favorable terms, because people don't see down the road. They're caught up in the moment. And I think, is it possible that when people go to a writer's conference, they need a break? They need something. And when you tell them you need to make friends, because several years from now, those friends may be in a place of influence and it may benefit you. That's a long-term strategy. A lot of people aren't willing to wait.
And that's unfortunate. I had a different agent when I got started, and I met Kyle. We were competing in a writing contest, and we both lost to Michelle. So that's a fun story. And it was not until a couple years later where I ended up switching to having him as my literary agent. He wasn't an agent at the time. He was just an author competing with me in a book contest. And yet now he's building relationships across both the general market and the Christian market, and there's opportunities that are available to me now that weren't there before. And I never would have thought that would be our relationship when I met him. And so I like to tell that story because I think it just drives home the point. You just don't know. And that's not a reason to be nice to people for no reason, but it's a reason to invest and get to know people at these events.
Well, nurture those relationships, grow those relationships, invest in others.
Yes.
Okay. Because everybody can offer a sincere word of encouragement. And I think if you look for good in something, there's something good there. I've often wondered, you kind of daydream, what if, I love to hunt and fish, and you watch these shows of professional hunters and fishers, and you think that must be the greatest job in the world. And it's great to be among the minority of people that enjoy their work, but it is work, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think most people don't want to put in the time that it takes. That's a question we get a lot at the conferences, and they're really maybe talking about the writing. I mostly get that question when I talk about marketing and the time that they're going to need to invest in that. But I mean, when I started Serious Writer Academy, it was my husband had just left youth ministry and we were waiting for his military spot to open up. And it was really like I needed to freelance and make money. And that's where the idea came from. But it's hours sometimes of work and late nights and early mornings and saying no to events. And it's a lot of sacrifice. But I look back and I wouldn't change anything,
I think almost across the board, people see the people that are successful, and they certainly want that success. What they don't see, and maybe it's because they don't want to see it, is the sacrifice that went in to being a winner.
Yes. It's almost, anytime that you read of someone who became an overnight success, they always talk about the years of time and energy and sweat, tears, and blood, that went into it. And then all of a sudden something happened, something flipped, and now all of a sudden all that work is now paying off in a fast way. So people think that it was just fast, but it took all that time to build it to that point.
It did. And there's a lot of people who blog. They kind of writing is kind of a hobby for them. They like to write. They express themselves written. And what would you say to the blogger out there who wants to go to the next level? What's it going to take? There's a whole lot of bloggers. Some of them are successful. Dale Didway has got a very successful blog, and I asked him, what's your secret? And the answer is somewhat anticlimactic. It's not a secret. He says you've got to keep at it. But what would you say to someone out there who's a writer, enjoys writing? How do they get to the next level? What would you offer?
I think it depends on what their goals are. If they're wanting to have a book, for example, maybe based out of their blog, then I would definitely recommend a conference so that they can network and then meet other people within that space. I think people who are very comfortable blogging, and this is going to be very general, but people who are really comfortable blogging sometimes are not super comfortable on social media or pulling things out of their blog to post on social media. And then I find there's another camp that's very comfortable on social media doing what we call microblogs, but they don't then blog on their website. So I always tell them, whatever camp you're most comfortable in, you have to do the opposite.
Now,
you have to have content everywhere.
Tell me what a microblog is.
It's maybe 100 to 200 words. On Instagram, for example, I think you can have up to 300 words in the caption. That always changes, so that might not be super correct. Or on Facebook, maybe 200 to 300 words of a post that you could put there, maybe 100. So it's not a blog on a website, but it's a shortened version written for the platform in the tone of voice for the platform. And people will read long form, we call it long form, on social media. It doesn't have to be 3 sentences. It can be a little bit more in depth. So I find that's my comfort zone, is a micro blog on social media. So I'm not very great at blogging on my website, but I need to be. But some people who are great at blogging on their website, sometimes they don't really want to put it all on the social media site, and I think you need to have both. So that's kind of going into the Bethany Jett philosophy of marketing.
You're kind of the marketing brains behind some of these coalitions and partnerships that you've formulated, and to what extent would you agree with me that the difference between those that make it and those that struggle is marketing, not content?
I think your content has to be good, but I think the marketing is what sets it apart. Because if you could have the best content in the entire world, but if you don't know how to market, no one's going to know. How are you going to get it out there?
Well, when you say you don't know how to market, and I guess I don't want to preempt your conferences that people would pay to attend, but I see so many people that, for example, on Twitter, there are people that post on Twitter, go read my blog, go buy my book, and it's the same thing over and over and over, and they never give me a reason to do it.
No, I think that's very spammy, actually. Yeah. And I don't think that's marketing. So I'm getting my marketing degree right now, my master's. And what I have learned that surprised me is that even within, it's not a Christian philosophy marketing, but I really think it is. Because everything that I've learned in my classes, it's always about focusing on the audience and what they need and what they want. And it's a very small percentage based on the company or organization that's hiring you to do the marketing. It's mostly about the audience. And I think that's what marketing is. The content that you have on your blog or your website, hopefully you have a message that you want to share with the world. And so that's the kind of content that you should be putting on your social media to draw an audience in to whatever the message is. And then basically you create a deficit of just giving resources and information and being generous with your information and content. And then you swoop in maybe later and you say, hey, I've got this book on this topic. Well, you're sharing that with people who already trust you and feel indebted to you for what you've done for them in terms of content. And that's an easy purchase at that point. And I think about people who I follow, Gary Vaynerchuk, who is my favorite person on marketing. He gives everything away for free, but I bought all 5 of his books, and I'll buy his next one, and I bought his shoes. And that's one of his concepts is give, and then come in with an ask, and then give, and then you ask. And most people do it the other way around.
Well, it's really no different than any other relationship. You have to make deposits. You can't just make withdrawals. And this is the kind of feeling I get when people just, as you would say, spam. Now, they probably don't think it's spam. They probably think highly of their work and that it would be great. But I think when you present yourself in a way of just buy my book or read my blog, it's like what I can do for them, but what are they going to do for me?
That's exactly right. And a lot of times, I know the people that I like to follow, I very rarely go to their website or their blog. I follow them on social media. And so that's where microblogging really comes into play, because you can get so much attention is there. And then, I go to their blog typically if I'm Googling something and they come up, or I want their opinion on it, or if they've got like a recipe or something that, I need to see right away. But I don't think social media is at the forefront of most people's minds when they think about their writing, but that's really where you can get the message out fastest.
Well, I'm thinking about bloggers again. We feed on these replies. We put stuff out on YouTube, wherever you put it, you want some reply. But I heard a former pastor, I was a very good friend of mine, and he said it this way. I don't think he coined this phrase, but I think it's very true. Twitter is a place where everybody wants to be heard, but nobody wants to listen. I like that. You want comments? Well, why don't you go to some other people's work and comment on it? Again, be sincere, but you get what you give.
It's so important, yeah.
It is, and it's not about how many books can I sell and make money and meet my financial goals. I think meeting your financial goals is a parenthetical byproduct of your walk with Christ. If you make disciples, if you invest in people, if you display love and concern and compassion, I think it's just a natural consequence that people are going to treat you in like manner. But so many people, especially in the political realm and social media, they are trying to hammer a message. I'm trying to save the country, blah, blah, blah. And one of the people that in our chat room, Sunbelt Girl, made the most profound statement. We were talking about this spammy, how do you work your way up to thousands of followers, tens of thousands of followers on Twitter? Well, for one thing, you're not going to tweet your way there. Okay. But there's people who are focused on their particular issue. It may be the fair tax, it may be the Convention of States, it may be Common Core, but they have dedicated themselves to that, and they post about it and pound on it. But Sunbelt Girl said this: after a while, they don't read your tweets. You know why? Listen carefully. They already know what you're going to say. It's going to be about whatever your pet project is. Now, I'm no fan of Howard Stern, but they actually was trying to do some research and figure out why is he so popular. And here's the bottom line. People keep listening because they never know what's coming next.
That's true.
Yeah, he's a shock jock. But we can take those principles, and there's more to you than you're an advocate for whatever your cause may be. There's more to you than that. Share something else. Share something humorous. And what I want people, and we talked about this in the green room, Christians, if we would just share our walk with Jesus Christ, that would start a revival. If we literally shared it publicly, like here, and there's a lot of ways to do it, but so many don't. They just go to church and they say, well, I go to Chick-fil-A on on Saturday, and they're a real good outfit. They put out literature, so I patronize them. I don't really consider that. Here, I have this. Anytime I get to speak publicly, I end with this, because it's one of those guiding principles in my own life. I have two questions. You don't need to answer either one to me, but ask yourself, number one, what is the boldest thing you've ever done for Jesus Christ? Okay, and just give that some thought. Now, number two, when was that? Now, I follow up, and here's the challenge. Never be satisfied with either answer.
I like that.
I like it. It's because I'm always trying to push myself. It's easy to become complacent. It's easy to let others do it. Let me switch gears in the time we have left. You are one of the partners involved in the North Carolina Christian Writers Conference coming up. Obviously, okay, take a moment to plug your conference, but more importantly, let's reach out to people who are thinking, maybe I should go, but that's money, that's travel. Mm-hmm. Why would someone who's struggling take that leap of faith? Tell us about your conference.
Well, our conference is in Liberty, North Carolina, near Greensboro, August 8th through 10th. And we do our conferences a little bit differently. Our keynotes are more TED Talk style, so we do more keynotes but shorter. And Kyle and I, and then Michelle, Dell, like everybody who's on our team, we really believe in leveraging any network that we have with the people that we meet. And so we want to make sure people have the opportunity to really have a lot of time with agents and editors that are there, and the faculty as well. And that's most of these Christian Writers Conferences too. You're going to find that same, spirit across the board. But, I almost didn't go to my first Writers Conference because I'm very introverted, and
I see that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's true. I'm an outgoing introvert, but it's true. And I told my husband, I was like, do you know how hard it is to break into this industry? Who's going to listen to me? I'm just a youth minister's wife, all those things. And yet that was the conference and the moment that changed the course of my life forever. And I almost didn't go. And so I think if you really have to know your situation, but if you feel that God's pulling on your heart to go to a conference, even if it's not ours, I really believe that you need to take that step of faith, because you don't know what's going to happen from it. It may not be a contract at there, but that might come down later the road, or it might be someone that you meet, a relationship that gets nurtured. It was life-changing for me and so many people that I know.
I was looking, and I'm not a writer. I'm not really in that industry, but I was looking through some of the what you call faculty. Give us a quick rundown of who they are and what their expertise is, because there were things that looked pretty good no matter what business you're in. I think it would be good.
We are really excited to have Cheryl Pullins coming. She's a branding expert, so she's going to be teaching some classes on personal brand, which is a topic that I'm excited. I hope I get to sit in her class. And she's going to be giving some keynotes. So we're thrilled about that. And then we have editors and agents coming. So I don't have my list in front of me, but John Herring from Iron Stream and New Hope Publishing. He's fantastic. He comes from a curriculum background, and he's just a great guy. Someone who you'd like to meet. So he's a great person to know. Karen and George Porter with Bold Vision Books are flying in. I think they're from Texas, so we're excited to have them join us. Kyle and some of his team will be there as agents. And then I don't want to say her name wrong. I guess Nikki Turpolowski. She's an agent, and she's coming as well. So we have just a pretty good range of agents and editors. And Nikia Kelly will be here with Change Her Story. And she is a publisher who she gives back to women's, she runs a homeless ministry. She's got a nonprofit for women who've gone through like domestic abuse, and she only takes on female authors. And so like her whole publishing ministry is incredible, and we're very excited to have her come and be with us as well. And then the level of classes that you're going to get from our instructors, we really look for people who know the niche that they're talking about, even if they might not be super famous in the writing publishing world, but they know their stuff, and we have them come in and teach. And Cecil Stokes, I think he was a producer. He's someone big on October Baby, but he's done a lot in the film industry, and he's coming to talk about film. And so many writers want their books to be made into movies or TV shows, and so he's going to be, sharing about that. So we've got a great lineup. I'm very excited.
Well, I was just looking through it, and I was pretty blown away. The one that stuck in my mind, I think anybody that's got a message, email marketing. You probably heard of Seth Godin.
Yeah.
He is my favorite author on the topic of using email. And some of his stuff may seem dated and obsolete, but the principles are not. And yet I struggle with committing myself to this kind of thing. It's easy to start, but it's hard to continue. So I saw somebody was sort of an email marketing expert.
It was me.
Oh.
I'm teaching that class.
Oh. Well,
I'm not an expert, but that's my class I'm teaching.
You're often wrong, but never in doubt. I get it. Okay. Well, I plan to be there, and I want to get some video footage of some of the breakout classes. If you're not sure what all this is or how well it fits into your life, I promise you, when Coach Prasick gets back, I am going to have hours and hours and hours of video footage to kind of bring this and make it live, to make it relevant to you. Because even though I am not an author, a writer, or a blogger, I am a disciple of Jesus Christ, and we are to make disciples. And the only way we can do that is communicate. There's got to be, this idea that I've got a cross at my desk at work. Well, congratulations, but I'm not sure that's, and going to church, I don't think that in and by itself is making disciples. I think that's equipping yourself to be a disciple. So I look forward to it. And Bethany, you are, you're amazing. You really are. And you've done, I don't know how old you are, but I'm probably old enough to be your dad. And
it's my birthday tomorrow.
So are you going to tell us another lap around the sun? Are you more tired now? Is that?
Yes. Yeah, I have a 13-year-old. He just turned 13 this year. So I'm in I think it's considered late 30s now, which is
really
kind of depressing. Yeah.
Well, a lot of women are in complete denial that they reached 40 and beyond. So when you ask them their age, they'll just say 39. And
they've been 39 for a long time.
Yeah, and this one woman, I said, "Ma'am, you've had a rough 39 years. You look horrible for 39."
Oh, no!
I inflate my age. I look pretty good for a 66-year-old man. I still got hair. It's real. It's
yeah, tomorrow will be 37.
Okay. Well, just a puppy. You're just getting started. There's so much more ahead. Bethany, listen, thanks. I know that, taking time out to do this kind of thing, you had to shoo the kids up to bed and all that, Yeah, I appreciate that. And I appreciate you coming on and sharing, your enthusiasm, not only for your writing and for the gospel, but for life in general. You're a sweetie. And I hope I can't wait to meet you in person, and we will have more to say in the days ahead. But thanks for sharing with us, and I just wish to encourage you in every way.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
All right, folks, there it was, Bethany Jett, and we made it through the whole thing without the camera freezing up or the internet connection dropping or anything like that. The background that I always offer people that come on board, I said, send me some art if there's something special to you that we can, kind of honor you in that way, in some small way. And we didn't get to talk about it tonight, but maybe we'll get to talk about it in the future. She is a planner junkie. I cannot for the life of me figure out why anybody would have more than one planner, but she is going to someday, I promise you, I will drag her in by her hair, kicking and screaming if we have to make her tell us why would you have more than one planner. She enumerated 3 or 4 or 5. Anyway, but folks, she's a lot of fun. I hope we'll put some links. Let me put it up there. I know I didn't get this one up there. If you want to catch up with Bethany, you can simply go to BethanyJett.com. It's on your screen right there. And I meant to put that up there a little bit earlier, but 2 things about getting old. One is your memory starts to fail you. Forgot what the other one was. All right, let's continue. We're having fun, and we're glad that everybody's here. We hope to see you again. We do this almost every night of the week. If it's your first time here, we invite you back, and we will continue with some good stuff right here on PJNet Live.